106.5 FM and now 102.3 FM.
We would like to thank Podcorn for sponsoring this episode of Tech Time Radio. Explore sponsorship opportunities and start monetizing your podcast by signing up at podcorn.com/podcasters. Let me tell you about Podcorn. Podcorn is an absolute must for any podcaster starting out. Now, when we started out Tech Time Radio, we started out in a back office with a couple of mics. We expanded to a studio, and then now, as you can see, we're on the radio and have distribution into other markets. Having the ability to have Podcorn at the start of our podcast would have been a dream come true. Guess what? With Podcorn, you now have the amazing opportunity for podcasts to receive sponsorship, such as host reads, interview segments, and topical discussions. With Podcorn, there's no middleman. Podcasters of all sizes can browse and choose opportunities right on their platform, set their own rates, and collaborate with brands directly without exclusivities. You never give up the rights of your podcast in Podcorn, and they're here to support you everywhere possible. Visit podcorn.com. Again, that's podcorn.com. Podcorn is a true success for those starting their podcast dreams.
Broadcasting across the nation, from the East Coast to the West, keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side, with leading-edge topics, along with special guests, to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that will make you go, Pull up a seat, raise a glass with our hosts as we spend the next hour talking about technology for the common person. Welcome to Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mumm.
All right, welcome to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm, the show that makes you go, Technology News of the Week, the show for the common everyday person talking about technology, broadcasting across the nation with insightful segments on subjects weeks ahead of the mainstream media. We welcome our radio audience of 35 million listeners to an hour of insightful technology with a little whiskey on the side. I'm Nathan Mumm. Welcome to our show today. We live stream during our show on 5 of the most popular platforms, including YouTube, Twitch.tv, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We encourage you to watch us live or visit us at techtimeradio.com, or you can even tweet us during the show at hashtag TechTimeRadio, and we'll do our best to respond to your tweet on the air. I'm your host, a technologist with over 30 years of expertise working for companies like Microsoft and Vulcan Inc., and a keynote speaker on technology subjects from cybersecurity to blockchain and everything in between. My co-host, Mike Roday, is an award-winning author, originally from Arizona. He is a human behavior expert living in the Seattle area with a master's degree in forensic psychology with 20-plus years career of helping others understand human behavior so they can make better decisions in their life each and every day. Mike keeps me from geeking out while providing an insight into human behavior and how it interacts with technology. We're our two friends that come from different backgrounds but bring the best technology show possible every week for our family, friends, and fans to enjoy. Mike is remote today, and in his chair in the studio, we have Mindy. So Mindy is going to be interrupting us a little bit here and there during the show. We have a special segment that's going to be coming on that's going to be talking about Mindy, a social robot that likes to visit retirement communities and nursing homes. Mindy can speak 8 languages and loves to play music and interactive games. She can also dance and enjoy having conversations with people when supported by a staff of volunteer robot handlers. These robots are 40 inches tall, they weigh 28 pounds, and have a 10-inch Android tablet on their chest. This is from Lee St. James, the founder and president of Social Robots, and we're going to be talking about this robot in our Technology Insider segment later today on the show. So welcome, everybody. Now, let's start today's show.
Now on today's show.
All right, on the show today, we have Lee St. James, the founder and president of Social Robots, joining us on the show to discuss how their robots are looking to improve interaction with retirement communities and nursing homes. Why does she believe AI and robots can fill in this gap? Well, we're going to ask her that and more. And then we also have Meta, who now has released more than 4 VR headsets for 2024 coming on up. So we're going to be talking about how Meta is deciding to release not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 different VR headsets in the next 2 years. Coca-Cola got hacked. Revel, the ransomware group, is back. And, of course, we have our fan favorite segments, letters. which is this week we're going to be talking about emails that were sent to us from listeners across the globe. In addition, we have our standard features, including This Week in Technology, Mike's mesmerizing moment with a question that I'm going to ask him today that says, can AI robots replace the companionship of humans? Mike is in his psychology. He's got a bunch of information for that. So you're going to want to make sure you listen all the way through the show for Mike's mesmerizing moment. And, of course, we have our pick of the day, whiskey tasting. So sit back, raise a glass, and welcome to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. Now it's time to start our show with our loaded question of the week brought to you by Elderberry Boost. Get your Elderberry Boost today at elderberry-boost.com. Mike and Odie, here is your loaded question. Are you guys ready? What can you do if you don't feel good about something you see or hear?
Keep your mouth shut.
Keep your mouth shut. Oh, that's an old saying. I think my mom used to say that to me too all the time.
Yeah, and that if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
I think that's really good. I think that's really good. Odie, we're going to go to the question to you. What can you do if you don't feel good about something you see or hear?
Tell them that I don't like it or see it or want to see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be up front with the person and just tell them what needs to be done?
Yeah.
All right. So people have been asking me why I haven't been answering these questions, but what can I do if I don't feel good about something you see or hear? Probably make a stance against what I hear and make sure that I can use my media social influence to hopefully change people's perspective. I guess that's what I would say. All right.
Really?
Well, I would say so. I think we have opinions about different stuff. We share that on the radio show. I think we share that in social media. Some of my posts that I do personally at Nathan Mumm on both Twitter and LinkedIn are probably a little bit more of my social aspects of that. But you do the same thing with your Twitter and postings, don't you, Mike?
In a sense, we're talking about subjective reality, though.
Okay. And how would you think about that?
Everybody's experience is subjective. So if somebody says something that I don't like, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm correct and I should correct them.
That's correct. You know that we have become such a unique counterculture in what we have said nowadays in today's world. I remember growing up back in the olden days where you could have lots of different opinions. You know what? If you didn't like somebody's opinion, what you said is, you know what? I don't agree with you, but let's go play ball, and you're still on my baseball team, or we're still going to have a good time. I'm just going to think you're an idiot while I'm playing with you. So, yes, we didn't. That's all right.
There you go.
All right. Well, of course, we are going to be doing our whiskey tastings. During the show, we have our pick of the day, which gets either 0, 1, or 2 thumbs up at the end of the show. You'll want to make sure you listen all the way through to pick up a few interesting facts on our Mark's Mumbles that will make you go, in the whiskey facts of the day. Now, it's time.
Is the robot going to drink with us?
Was that?
Is the robot going to drink?
I don't think the robot's going to drink with us, but I think the robot's going to interrupt us a bunch during the show, and so that's okay. So Mindy's got a little bit of a mind of her own, so she'll just talk to us and listen to what we got going on until we have the interview coming on up. But now it's time for the latest headlines in the world of technology.
What's happening in the world of technology? This is our top stories in the first 5 minutes.
All right, story number 1. Meta to release 4 more VR headsets by 2024. This is crazy, including a laptop for your face. They have it listed in their promo materials for their roadmap as the laptop for your face. Now, we have some information from our correspondent, and we're going to go right there to our Quest Quickie and see what they said about this.
There are going to be 4 new headsets coming from Meta. In the article, a roadmap from Meta was shown to feature a release for 4 different VR headsets in the next 2 years. So basically, Meta wants to release a high-end headset, then a lower-cost HMD the following year, aka the back-in-the-day Apple approach to the S phone models. According to 2 people in the know, the Cambria is expected to cost around $800, while a Meta spokesperson said the price could be much higher. Project Cambria, known inside Meta as Arcada, has been alluded to by the employees of Reality Labs as the laptop for the face, or a Chromebook for the face. Yes, the Chrome Facebook.
All right, so
there we go. Is that something that I have to smash with my head because of touch screen?
So I don't get what Meta is doing. Okay, so clearly in the VR world, they can't come up with a decision on just to stick with the Quest 2, the Quest 3, the Quest 4, and do an iteration of each of the models with newer graphics, newer hard drive capabilities. So instead, Zuckerberg is all over the place, and he's deciding that he's going to release 4 units, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 different units. You're going to have this real rich version that I guess is both VR and augmented reality, so you can take it on out and you can have it in the real world, and it'll have overlays, kind of like the Terminator 2 overlays.
It's like a 4-tier system.
Yes, and then there's the cheap version, so if you're just the everyday person that wants to have a VR experience, I guess you get the low-end model, which they're still saying maybe in these realms of $799 for a low-end model. I paid $299 for the current Quest 2 device from Facebook at the time, which is now Meta. I enjoy that unit, but I cannot see spending $799 for a virtual reality event that I put on, because I only spend probably a year or maybe 40 hours tops in my VR world anyways. So I'm struggling with that. Would you spend $700, $800, $900 for a virtual reality set, Mike?
No. And in light of the fact that our younger generations don't really find VR that awesome, I'm not sure he's barking up the right tree.
Yeah, so the memo that was sent out and to all these VR companies and all these software engineers really raised a bunch of the questions. That's why it was breaking news this morning, because they're like, what am I going to develop for? Is it like a Unity type platform where I can develop for one of these devices and then it works on all of them? Or am I going to have to write code specifically for each of these devices itself? So I don't know. You know what?
They're like individual Apple computers.
Yeah, and they're really trying to do like what the Apple did with the Apple SE versions, right? So they came out with the Apple 6 and they came out with the SE. Nobody bought the SE versions. They stuck with the standard versions, and then Apple has decided that they are just going to have a Max version, and they're just going to have their standard version, kind of their Pro version, so that they don't confuse people with model numbers. So maybe they'll figure that out in a couple of years also. All right, I think you got story number 2. Yeah, story number 2 there, Mike?
Yeah. So, story number 2 is about SpaceX Starlink. You know, Elon Musk there has been helping out the Ukraine with 150,000 daily users in the Ukraine 5 weeks after being activated. This is part of the crucial support that Ukraine is receiving for restoring its damaged territories after the invasion continues to occur. So Elon Musk activated late March, according to a SpaceX representative, and Mikhailo Fedorov said that it's crucial. It's been crucial to the support of what's going on in the country's infrastructure and restoring the destroyed territory. So apparently he had about 10,000 terminals activated in the Ukraine just a few weeks ago.
Yep. And, you know, what's interesting is that Elon Musk responded within a day of a tweet all about Twitter, right, asking if they would be able to bring these over, and he got those set up within the matter of 48 hours of moving satellites in space. So just think of that. Yeah, satellites in space. Within 48 hours, you can reposition them all the way halfway across the world to combat the invasion that Russia is doing to Ukraine. And now, doesn't matter where you're at, with this satellite internet services, you can continue to have your state operations run without having to have landlines taken care of. Anybody can come on in and breach a city or a big terminal, and essentially you're not going to have to worry about that moving forward. So that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, and I don't know too much about the system, but apparently, well, it looks like it's very highly mobile. So that would be of considerable importance right now.
Yep, absolutely. All right, I got story number 3. Coca-Cola investigates hacker group that claims to breach its data. So Coca-Cola, the world's largest soft drink maker, has confirmed that it was aware of a report about a cyber attack on its network and is currently investigating the claims. Mindy wants to be my friend. Yes, I'll be your friend, Mindy. Okay. Essentially, Coca-Cola's hack was asked to repurchase back 161 gigabytes of data. Then the threat actors asked for 1.65 Bitcoin, which is currently around $64,000. It is not known if Coca-Cola paid to get that ransomware taken care of or not. They did not comment. And story number 4, REvil Software Hacking Group is back with a vengeance. Now, we talked about this, right? REvil disappeared. Russia supposedly came on in, infiltrated the big opponents of this REvil ransomware game, sent them to prison or sent them to wherever Russia has their little prison. But essentially what they've been doing since 2021 of October is they have decided to rewrite their code. So much like you have a brand new version of Windows software operating system, Apple operating system, essentially what you have is you have this cyber group that has decided to rewrite their code and make it twice as difficult as it was previously. Revo says that they are now up and running at a new location, a new Tor infrastructure, and they will begin operations again for unknown ransomware operations against companies. So there you go. A brand new encryptor that they decided to sit back and rewrite because their other one was still being compromised and people were able to start recovering it. They said, we're going to take it back and see what we got going on. Well, that is our 4 stories. Mike, our time is up. We got through the top stories of the week. If you want to learn more about them, please visit us online at techtimeradio.com or click on the episode section or blog to get more details on these stories. Now it's time to get ready for our whiskey tasting during our break. But up next, we have Lee St. James, the founder and president of Social Robots, joining the show today to discuss how their robots are going to improve the interaction with retirement communities and nursing homes. We're going to be back in a moment with our Technology Insider. You're listening to Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mumm.
Hey, Mike,
What?
have you heard of elderberry?
Only in reference to a Monty Python movie.
Well, let me tell you, Elderberry Boost, again, that's elderberry-boost.com.
Elderberry Boost.
Yes, Mike, that's Elderberry Boost. You can choose organic Elderberry Boost, that 8-ounce size. That's available on sale right now at $11.99. But you're listening here right now on Tech Time Radio, so you need to go to Elderberry, that's ELDERBERRY-boost.com, and get some today.
Elderberry Boost.
Elderberry is an all-natural organic immune system booster and antiviral. Elderberry is known to actively fight against viruses, including colds and the flu. It also works as a natural remedy for allergies, cancer, digestion, heart disease, high cholesterol, headache, toothache, weight loss, and reduced inflammation.
It's a natural and healthy diuretic and has many antiviral properties. While it is famous for fighting the flu, it is effective for any illness.
Elderberry Boost was created to provide a quality organic elderberry to their customers. After searching years ago for a perfect elderberry syrup, none could be found, so they essentially created their own homemade recipe.
If you would like to get 15% off your first order of Elderberry Boost, just put in the discount code TechTime at checkout.
Again, that's elderberry-boost.com.
Elderberry Boost.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's up?
Are you ready to launch your new career in coding? Treehouse has one of the best and most affordable online classrooms for you. At Treehouse, we've rethought the learning process and built a proven system to get you the skills and knowledge you need to achieve your goals. When you're done with the course, you haven't just watched a video, you've learned, practiced, and absorbed the key concepts. Choose to build a portfolio, create a network, and land your dream job with the boot camp style tech degree program. Land a dev job this year. Treehouse, teamtreehouse.com. Learn to code, design, and more, all on your own time. Enroll today. Classes range anywhere from 2 months to 9 months for completion. Whatever your goal is, we'll get you there. Start your 7-day free trial today by visiting teamtreehouse.com. Again, that's team, T-E-A-M, treehouse, Treehouse.com. And make sure to tell them Nathan sent you.
All right, welcome back to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. Tech Time Radio is an hour technology show that talks about current technology in a simple format without having to geek out. Brought to you by myself, Nathan Mumm, and Mike Day. We just had our first whiskey tasting during the break, and now let's talk about our sippings for our pick of the day. Today we have chosen the Maker's Mark 46 Cask Strength, which is the barrel-proof version of the standard Maker's 46. Maker's 46 starts out as a standard Maker's Mark, which is a wheated bourbon made in a batch of less than 1,000 gallons. Then heavily seared French oak staves are placed in empty barrels that allows the standard Maker's Mark barrels to refill them into the warehouse to finish the aging process for an undisclosed amount of time. It's estimated anywhere between 2 to 3 months. Then it's pulled out. Maker's 46 Cask Strength was originally made to be a distillery-only expression, but was released to the public in 2020 to celebrate the brand's 10-year anniversary. So this is a 70% corn, 16% wheat, 14% malted barley taste. It's $60 a bottle for the 750 milliliter bottle. And what is your first take on this whiskey, Mike? You like it?
Yes. Yes, I do. See, guy.
I got it. Here we go. Yep. It is amazing. It's got a bite though.
It's got a bit of a bite, which if you've been watching me long enough, you know that I'm not a fan of the burn.
Yeah.
But it doesn't last long, and it has a really nice finish.
All right. Well, I'm sure you're going to listen all the way through for Mark's Mumbles. He's got a lot of opinions on this. Let me just tell you, he says this is one of his top go-to bottles as a daily drinker. So he's got some opinions on if we like it or if we don't like it. So we'll see what happens at the end of the show. Mm-hmm. All right. So now moving on. We're going to get ready to have our guest on the show today. This is Lee St. James, the founder and president of Social Robots. As a tech-savvy consultant and entrepreneur with 25 years of business experience, she founded Social Robots in 2019 after seeing firsthand the impact of social isolation on her father and the reality of chronic staff shortages in nursing homes. Prior to this, Lee was general manager and vice president of a design studio that developed robot apps for banking and automotives. She has an honors business degree from Western University in London, Ontario, Canada, and an MBA from INSEAD AD in France. So there you go. We are going to welcome our guest, Lee St. James, the founder and president of Social Robots, who's going to join us on the show.
Welcome to Technology Insider. We get the information directly from the source.
All right, Lee, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the company's Social Robots.
Well, thank you so much for having me today, and Mindy, who's here beside me as well. I have another version here.
All right, so I got a version here, and I got a kind of, I think, out-of-the-box version. But let me just tell you, it was phenomenal, and we've played with it, and we had it dancing. I got a little lost on it, so hopefully you're going to tell us a little bit about how it runs and everything. I don't know if I had all the apps loaded because I had a whole bunch of Japanese stuff. So I kept on getting Japanese talking to me, and I was learning a second language. But tell us a little bit again, what about your company, Social Robots?
Yeah, so it's a tech startup. I'm actually based in Canada, so I was born and raised in Toronto and recently moved to Regina, Saskatchewan, basically helping my son fulfill his dream of playing elite hockey. And with COVID, my husband decided to retire, and I decided I could work from anywhere. So here we are in Regina. And so I've worked in technology or technical marketing for most of my career. And I launched Social Robots in 2019. And we can talk a little bit later about, what led to that. But it's a tech startup, and we're looking for investors and angel investors or grant money to help us grow the company beyond, where we're at now. So in 2021, we did some pilot studies with retirement homes and nursing homes in Ontario, and now we're expanding westward.
All right, so tell us a little bit about Mindy. I have one in studio. You have one there. Tell us a little bit about the robot, what the robot does, how it works. Give us a little bit. This is a beautiful fill-in for Mr. Gourdet in his seat over here. So,
it's prettier than I am.
It's fantastic. And Mike has lots of psychology background information and maybe some questions he's going to bring up about this also. But tell us a little bit about Mindy and the robot itself.
Sure. Yeah, so Mindy is a second-generation iPal robot from Avatar Mind, which is the manufacturer of the robot. So I don't manufacture the robots, but this is the form factor that I've chosen to launch the applications and the content that I'm looking to bring to retirement homes. So most people don't think of older adults and robots in the same conversation. This robot actually was designed for children, and they've launched it into the education market. So I just see a need that I think can be met by this robot. Is kind of like having a visit with a grandchild. So the size of it, you can change the voices. So there are 12 different voices that you can pick, and you can also change the tone and the speed to help with auditory issues that older adults sometimes have. It's got a long battery life. It's got a camera in its left eye. It's got sensors on it, so you can tickle it and make it laugh. I'm not sure it's going to laugh when I do that right now. You can also pat it on the head. It's got a sensor. If you wanted to turn it off quickly, you can just pat it on the head, and you can pat it again on the head to get it started again.
The camera tracks you a little bit, right? So I had this at home, and we set it up, and so my wife would talk and to the left, and all of a sudden then the robot would look at her, and then I would talk, and then the robot would look back at me. So it's got some auditory aspects with the camera of where it tracks. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, and it also it is capable of doing facial recognition. It stores, you can take, there's an app in there, you can take a picture of yourself, type in your name, so that if it does see you, then it could say hi Lee or hi Nathan.
Wow.
But that's not the primary function. It's capable of doing that. The camera allows you to take pictures and video. So that's the one of the applications that I was initially testing the robots for, which is to be able to do asynchronous visits between seniors and family members. So family members could upload video or pictures to a private portal, download them to the robot, then a robot helper, staff person, or volunteer in the residence could take, a picture and then again upload it, and the families could feel like they've had a visit without the stress of having to do the live, video calls that have happened since COVID.
And it uses the Android application as its backbone. So essentially, if I have a Zoom meeting and I wanted to load it up on the Android application, you're telling me that I could have the camera kind of look at me, and then I could have the display of the person I'm talking to on the actual tablet portion. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. That'd be kind of cool to do for a couple Zoom meetings. I'll start bringing that in there and having it follow me. And it's great. Okay. So my next question, how are robots like this leveraging social aspects to help people be more connected with each other? Besides the Zoom idea that I just talked about, how else does this interact so that we can create that one-on-one personal kind of bonding process that you've talked about in nursing homes and other locations for elderly?
Well, there's a couple of ways. One, so the robot handler can use an app to have text-to-speech go forward. So I'll just pop a few phrases in here, and hopefully her microphone is loud enough for you to hear that.
My name is Mindy.
Yeah, we heard that. Hi, my name is Mindy.
And so the robot handler can tap
It is nice to meet you. I like to visit with people in retirement communities.
So because this robot is like the size of a grandchild, it's got a plastic head, it's got the little speakers in its ears, it has arms with articulated elbows, and I'll do some movements while I'm talking so you can see that the robot can move its hands and so forth. And it can also move around. So using the tablet, you can have it, the robot turn around, and you can have it move forward and backward. It has sensors in it so it won't bump into people or walls. But what that allows is for people, it's not that they, I don't know, it's kind of a big word, anthropomorphize, but they have an emotional response to interacting with the robot that people don't have the same experience with a tablet or a smartphone, right? So in many ways, the robot can do things that that you can do on a tablet because it has a tablet on its chest, but it's more enriched and more engaging than that. People want to take your picture. They want to take videos all the time whenever we're out, in a home, and it's really exciting to see the level of engagement, both with people who are cognitively well, independent living, that sort of, which is where I initially thought it would work, but also in memory care facilities, which I was surprised when we did our pilot studies last year. It was extraordinary, the depth that it could bring people out of their whatever state they're in terms of their level of dementia. But they were able to bring some of those, music is a big part of it. I guess that's another thing, is music is one of the key activities that Mindy engages with. She does have little facial expressions. You probably can't see them too well here because
they light up. There's little lights with a smile, and they can it's really nice.
And then movement. So there's a bit of a humanoid component to it, but it's really important to me that it's not creepy, like it's not too human-like, because I want them to realize that it's separate. And so really the idea is how I think it can really help with social engagement is for people to talk to each other about it and with the robot. So doing interactive games or some of the music sing-alongs, audiobooks, things like that, to be able to have Mindy come either in small group settings or for one-to-one visits for people who don't want to come out of their suite or their room, And sort of then the staff person can use that as an opportunity to sort of encourage them. Oh, you've met Mindy already? Well, Mindy's going to be doing card games, in the common room. Why don't you come out and join us? So that type of thing is to help staff find ways to reach, that 15 to 20%. Well, that was the stat before COVID. It's probably more like 40% now of residents who are truly, lonely, depressed, bored, and just really want something else in their lives.
All right, so let's talk about it. What made you decide to get into creating social robots, right? So there has to be some type of trigger or something that says, you know what, this is a market that needed to be taken care of. I did my research. I took it in there. What actually made you go down this journey to get where you are at today?
Yeah, well, like most entrepreneurs, I do have a personal story that I guess prompted the change in my career. So at the time that I was working at the design studio and we were designing robot apps for banking and automotive, and it was all very exciting and futuristic and just hiring all kinds of young guns and doing all these, great events. My father started to show signs of dementia, a form of dementia called Lewy body, where he would, just leave my parents' house at 2 a.m. and disappear. And so my mom lost a lot of sleep. She got really sick. She ended up being hospitalized because she was so stressed about what was happening with him. And I would get these calls on my way to work in the morning from my sister saying, Dad left at 4 a.m. We don't know where he is. And so these, stresses just kind of build up as part of the sandwich generation, which I'm sure many of your audience are part of. Your parents, they want to live independently as long as they can, but if they're lucky enough to live long enough, at some point they are going to need assisted living. And I just kept thinking on my way into work every day, robots should be able to help. Robots should be able to help. And so I did a lot of research. I was really hoping somebody else would figure this out so that I could just continue with my career path and just, have this solution for my parents. But, it turns out that nobody's really taking this type of approach to the technology. And I took a sabbatical in the summer of 2019. My father was declining rapidly. I saw firsthand the impact of social isolation on him. In his case, it was self-imposed. He didn't want to leave his room. And it was tragic. And I just said, I could, just kind of move on. But, when he passed away in October of 2019, it was kind of a moment where I took a pause and I said, I need to do this. And my husband's very supportive and just said, okay, well, take a couple of years, but, don't take too long before, earning an income again. So I've bootstrapped the business so far and really looking for ways to help other older adults. I know with baby boomers retiring, I think with the mass resignation, they're going to be there in, 5-10 years, maybe, if they're lucky enough to live that long. And I'm going to be there soon too. So I want robots to be really optimized by the time I get there.
All right.
So does the robot operate independently of somebody utilizing it? Meaning, does it go into a room and then the person in the room interacts with it independently of a third person that's operating the keyboard?
No, not at this time. So right now, and I think this is really important for adoption of technology of this type, especially in the senior sector where safety is of big importance, but also just in terms of being comfortable, right? So right now, the idea is that a robot handler takes their tablet and they could be 10 or 20 feet away from the robot, but they basically initiate the activity. Now, it really is depending on what that person wants to do. So in our pilot studies last year, I had one woman who really wanted to play math games. So there's a math game on the robot. Okay, great. And the first couple of times, the recreation assistant had to sort of teach her and show her how to use it. But it was a 4-month pilot study. So as the weeks went on, that resident became much more independent so that Bailey, the recreation assistant, could, deliver the robot, have a little bit of an interaction, then, okay, Marion, you've got it. You can handle this for 10 minutes. I'll be back in 10 minutes, and then go and support another resident while Marion was having an interactive game with Mindy. So I do see the independence evolving over time. But right now, where it's at is that, it needs to be managed, but it can augment staff, but it doesn't replace staff at all, never will, and that's not my vision at all.
All right, so we have a listener typed in our chat here and says, how can they support your company directly? So let me ask you that. How can they learn more about your company initiatives, and what can they do if they were interested to maybe be a supporter or maybe even, I don't know, maybe a part of your guys' organization? How do they go about that, finding out more information?
Wonderful. Well, our website is socialrobots.ca, and that's robots with an S. And we're also on Facebook. It's social.robots, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. You can sort of, it's either social.robots or social_robots, depending on the platform. And yeah, my email is lee, at socialrobots.ca, and I'd be delighted to hear from your listeners and anything that they can do to help. I think one of the areas that we're looking at in terms of fundraising is for not-for-profit facilities to organize fundraisers for them to buy the hardware, to buy the capital, and then, to be able to include the maintenance agreement and content updates on their sort of annual recreation budget and things like that. So
Perfect.
Finding ways to get, my vision is to have a social robot in every retirement home and nursing home in North America within 10 years.
That sounds great. That sounds fantastic. You know what, Lee? Thank you so much for joining the show. You can find out more information. We'll share this out again on our social media shares as we do each of our episode broadcasts. We thank you so much for joining our show.
Thank you very much for having us.
All right, great. Now we're going to take a look and take a break. As we come back, we're going to be taking a look at This Week in Technology. So why don't you sit back, relax, and enjoy a little whiskey on the side. We'll see you after the break.
Hello, my name is Arthur, and my life's work is connecting people with coffee. Story Coffee is a small batch specialty coffee company that uses technology to connect people to each product resource, which allows farmers to unlock their economic freedom. Try our Medium Roast Founder Series coffee, which is an exotic bourbon variety that is smooth, fresh, and elegant at storycoffee.com. That's STORI coffee.com. Today you can get your first bag free when you subscribe at storycoffee.com with code TECHTIME. That's STORI coffee.com.
And now, let's look back at this week in technology.
All right, May 2nd, 1983, Microsoft's original mouse. Microsoft introduces the Microsoft Mouse for IBM and IBM-compatible PCs. The mouse featured 2 buttons and is available by itself or bundled with the new Microsoft Word software program, which Microsoft released later in September of that year. Microsoft will manufacture nearly 100,000 units of this device, but will only sell about 5,000 before they introduce a second, more popular version of the device in 1985. This was the first software company to bundle hardware and software in the same packaging. Along with that, Microsoft Word was also the first word processing software to make extensive use of a computer mouse. A demo of Microsoft Word was also introduced as a first, included in the copy of PC World magazine, marking the first time a floppy disk was ever inserted into a magazine for people to get for free. So there's a lot of free items that they threw in, and a lot of firsts here on that This Week in Technology. Mike, do you remember using your first mouse? What was your inception to that?
Well, it's funny because it looked like an interactive Duplo Lego block.
It did. It was really big. It had some green buttons on it.
Big square thing. Yeah.
All right.
It's amazing.
So do you realize floppy disks, and then that transferred into a later time when CDs used to be mailed, right? Everybody has their American Online CDs that were in the mail, and they used to input CDs into magazines. So Microsoft, with the mouse, decided to bundle it both with software and hardware, and decided to do a bunch of new items, which in today's world now we would consider standard in any purchasing process. All right, well, that was our This Week in Technology. If you ever wanted to watch some Tech Time history with over 2 years of video, you can visit techtimeradio.com to watch all of our older shows or sign up for our newsletter and subscribe to the best technical information and be part of our private Tech Timers Facebook group. To talk with us all the time, join the Tech Timers Facebook group, and we'll answer your questions. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, you know what? Before we take that commercial break, guess what I have here in my hands here, Mr. Gourdet? Let me show you if you see this. You see this? This is our newsletter.
I see paper.
Oh, you see paper? Well, this is our newsletter that Mr. Gourdet spent a bunch of time doing. Now, we can only give you the subscription to the newsletter if you go up and sign up online at techtimeradio.com, click on the newsletter, and type in your email address. We don't send any spam out. So if you want to get inside information, our stories this month are, should the government offer a bounty to capture hackers? And are we destined to doom ourselves with technology? Make sure you sign up for that. All right, we're going to take a commercial break. When we come on back, we got one of our favorite segments. It's called Letters. See you after this.
Hey, Mike, did you know that Unidragon puzzles are a great relaxation?
Yes, I did.
The 21st century widespread digitalization pushes people to have gadget-free rest. In this case, puzzles become a convenient and actual way of having rest.
Yeah, they're a great way to relax. They give your brain a reboot.
Is make sure that you visit unidragon.com with the discount code for 10% off with the code TIME10. That's TIME, the number 10, for all of our Tech Time fans across the nation. Do you know that puzzles are relatively simple tools that solve a complex range of problems? In game form, we learn useful, analytical, and communicative skills that will find the application in work, study, and other spheres of life.
Yeah, they are great forms of relaxation and revitalization.
Do you know that Unidragon's collections now have dinosaurs?
Oh, that's one of my favorite things.
You got to make sure you keep the promo code. It's TIME10 because all of our audience across the nation can use TIME10 to receive a 10% discount at Unidragon. That's unidragon.com. Don't be fooled by other imitation puzzle makers. Visit unidragon.com, the only spot for your true thinking puzzles.
All right, welcome back to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. I'm your host and technology expert, Nathan Mumm. We have my human solution consultant extraordinary, my Lie to Me expert, Mike Roday, on the line also that will help us with all of our information for the everyday common person. We are a technology show that will make you go, How's that whiskey tasting, Mike?
I like it.
You like it? Wow. You're kind of giving a little preview of your thumbs up or thumbs
down. No.
Okay, don't be blowing it now. We have to wait till the end of the show to have that taken care of. Well, now let's look a little bit more into this whiskey as we take a look at one of our writers' comments from the show.
And now for Mark's Mumbles!
All right, I'm Mark's.
Brought to us by Story Coffee. Visit storycoffee.com.
I got almost a little too excited there. Here we go. The flavor of Maker's Mark stood out from the crowd, so co-founder Margie Samuels wanted to ensure that the bottle did the same on store shelves. It's said that Margie is the reason most folks buy their first bottle of Maker's Mark, and Bill Samuels is the reasons they buy their second. The shape of the bottle, look, and the label, and the signature red wax topper makes the name stand out by itself, all thanks to Margie. The Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Famer, the first woman involved with a distillery to be inducted into the Hall of Fame for Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame. Did you know that a Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame existed?
I did not.
Well, Mark Mumbles does, so he knew that. Okay. The hand-dipped the first bottles in her kitchen using a home fryer to melt the wax. While every sip of the Maker's tastes just like it did before, no two bottles are exactly alike. Those red tendrils give each bottle its unique face and unique look as they're each covered to open up a special bottle. So it's not manufactured through a particular way. Each of the Maker's Mark's wax is individually done. Think about that. Okay. Now, here's what Mark says. I do not care what Nathan and Mike think. This is my top go-to bottle for a daily drinker. If the proof is too much for them, they can add water, ice, or purchase the standard Maker's Mark 46 at 94 proof. But for me and a whiskey connoisseur, this is my bottle. There you go. That's Mark's Mumbles.
All right. We know what to buy him for Christmas.
That's right. And we better make sure we put thumbs up. Otherwise, we're going to have a huge debate on our upcoming show on Monday night before we do our shows themselves. All right.
All right. Whatever.
Okay. Now, Mike, let's get on to our informative emails that I've received during the week. This includes scam, phishing emails, and all-out mistruths disguised as legitimate emails in the segment we call Letters.
Letters. We get letters. We get back of letters. Oh, letters. We get letters. And the letters all have songs.
All right. I'm going to start out first, Mike, and then you can go next. I got one here from a listener. All right? It said a listener sent this in from the audience, sent it on Sunday, May 1st, 2022. Please update your payment details. Now, this was supposedly from Wix.com, and this user actually has a Wix.com website. So they were a little confused at first because they thought maybe there was something wrong with their payment details. Further information and details, when you look at the email, it is info@thequestos.co.uk. So they had some concerns that this might not be a legitimate email. It says, Wix has temporarily disabled and suspended your account. We give you choice to save service. So probably the grammar there was the next tall tale sign that this is not going to be a legitimate email. You may get email again if you don't update payment details. And there's a big button that says Renew Now. Please do not reply to this email. Email sent to this address will not be answered.
Did you click the button?
I did. And
okay.
So when I clicked on the button...
Should we give out the warning?
Okay, so these are things you should not do, right?
Don't do what Nathan does.
Nathan has tons of these.
Nathan does things that nobody should do.
That's right.
One of them is clicking links in emails.
So what happened is this Wix site immediately then gets sent to a payment site where all it does is it asks for your credit card. It doesn't ask you to log into Wix. It essentially asks you for your credit card information, your security information on just a pop-up window that you're supposed to hit enter into. And when you do, so let's say you put in the incorrect code, then when it comes back and it says that this is incorrect, you can then type it in again and you hit enter and it says this is incorrect. So all they're doing is trying to fish through and see if you will type in a credit card with verification numbers that would then open up your credit card to a database that would be available for sale, and someone could try to forge a credit card purchase on your behalf. So thank you, listener, for sending that to us. Thank you for not clicking on the link, so I had the opportunity to click on the link for you. All right. I think you have the next email there, Mike.
Yeah, interestingly enough, it's called Wix Site Redesign.
Oh, wow. So they're just hitting Wix all over everywhere right now, huh?
I guess so. I wonder what the deal is with Wix. Anyway, this is to you, which is fun because I actually have the real email this time.
Okay.
To you from Michael McCready.
Oh.
Michael at mike-mccready.com.
Okay.
Subject Wix Site Redesign. Hi, Nathan. My name is Mike McCready. He's got his link to his website there, mikemccready.com. And Wix asked me to get in touch with you about your request for help redesigning your website. Is it for eeservices.com? I am familiar with recruiting business models and am an experienced site designer known for crafting sites that reflect the owner style with exceptional design, a user-friendly interface, and seamless transaction. Has my Wix portfolio with some links. I welcome the chance to speak to you and learn about your web presence goals, including SEO. I can provide you with an accurate assessment of cost, processes, and delivery timelines for your site redesign. Now, this, to me, kind of looks like a standard marketing email.
So it is a marketing ploy, right? So, but here's the thing. So this is a legitimate business. I looked up the guy. He is absolutely trying to get a redesign for the website. But the way he went about it was all wrong. So he knows I have a website on Wix. It says that it's a Wix website. So not that that's even a new aspect or not. But the key signs that I would not work with this individual are, it said that Wix contacted him directly. Have you ever heard of a website reaching out to an individual and asking them to work for your website design?
Well, that was the first thing that stuck out to me. But if this is a legitimate one, yeah.
Yeah, and then he says, are you asking about your website? So first off, if Wix reached out to him, he should know what my website is on Wix, right? Which would be ease-services.com, which is out there. But what the triggers are that this may be a scam at a later time. He does have a legitimate business. I looked him up. But I would never do business with someone that said that they were contacted by a company when I'm sure the company did not contact them. And second of all, they would need to know about the website that was going to need to be altered before they just put it out there. Is it about this site itself? So both of those are telltale signs that this guy may be hunting and searching for business, but he did not follow the proper processes and did not necessarily tell the truth on how he reached out to me.
Okay, so, all right, so that makes sense.
All right, I have another one, and then you do one, and then we're going to have to move on to your Mike's Mesmerizing Moment. So I have one right here. It says, thank you, CVS. All right, congratulations, Nathan Mumm. Final notice, Monday, May 2nd, 2022. Your monthly package is delivered. Please click on here as we have a problem sending it to the right location. So when you click on the link, it has an address that is coming from Las Vegas, and then it also has an address that's coming from Illinois. So they have two different addresses on here. When you click on the package delivery, what it does is it asks you to confirm your name, your address, and information of where you live so they can add that into a database to have it updated to sell to other people that are asking for information. All right, you're up next.
Okay, this is from Cindy Carmen. This is interesting. Apply plus Cindy, sandhconsultants.com at cccsin.com. So that's a really funny email.
Okay.
It's regarding a DocuSign application from S&H Consultants. Hello. Did you get the DocuSign application from Cindy Carmen? You can, which it doesn't have a question mark there. It's just a statement.
Okay.
You can get approved for a line of credit up to $250,000 and term loans for up to $500,000 with weekly or monthly payments and terms for up to 24 months.
Wow.
Same day funding. That's quite a bit.
That
If
is.
you're interested, please fill out the application and send me your February, March, April bank statements so we can process. Also attached is a short video testimonial below. I'm not going to open the video. Did you click on any of these?
I did not click on any of those. I did not. So I just laughed at it that they wanted me to send all my bank information over so that I could get a $500,000 or a $250,000 loan just right off the bat. So I just found that very simple and very easy to understand that would have been a scam from the get-go.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of, I think the first thing that would apply here is the interesting email address that doesn't make any sense, but that's just me.
All right, Mike, what? Now we need to go on to your mesmerizing moment because I asked you a question earlier in the show, so let's move right into that segment. This is Mike's mesmerizing moment, presented by Story Coffee. Visit storycoffee.com.
What was your question?
My question is, can robots replace humans for interaction?
Well, that's a complicated question. We have obviously a lot of thing in the entertainment area where we say yes, but the problem is one of the things that she mentioned was anthropomorphizing, which is something that humans do to other things, and that can create a false relationship that can be beneficial but can also be non-beneficial. So we have to keep careful watch over that. Can a robot replace a human? I don't think so, because humans have very different ways of interacting that robots cannot do, and they would have to be programmed to do so. And we have to understand completely about humans before we can program to do that. So when it comes out in the end, it looks like they might be able to relate, but not completely.
All right, here we go. We're going to need to give a Our pick of the day, the Maker's Mark 46 cast strength. Thumbs up or thumbs down, Mike?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up for me, too. Remember, the science of tomorrow starts with the technology of today. We'll see you next week.
We hope that you had a chance to have that moment today in technology. The fun doesn't stop there. We recommend that you go to techtimeradio.com and join our fan list for the most important aspect of staying connected and winning some really great monthly prizes. We also have a few other ways to stay connected, including subscribing to our podcast on any podcast service, from Apple to Google and everything in between. We're also on YouTube, so check us out on youtube.com/techtimeradio, all one word. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did making it for you. From all of us at Tech Time Radio, remember, Mumm's the word. Have a safe and fantastic week.
KCAA.